Welcome to the space between two lines. I'm Alex Saunders, and this is a space for real, honest conversations about fertility, pregnancy loss, and the journey to parenthood. Here, we hear the stories of people navigating the highs, the lows, and everything in between. A place to feel seen, understood, and less alone. Because every story matters, and so does yours. In this episode, Kylie shares her deeply personal infertility journey. After experiencing an ectopic pregnancy, she spent years trying to conceive naturally without success. Before turning to medical investigations and IVF. Along the way, she faced multiple failed cycles, unexpected complications, and a diagnosis of endometriosis. Kylie opens up about the emotional toll, the strength it took to keep going, and what life looks like for her now. Welcome to the podcast, Kylie. Thank you so much for being here and being super brave and sharing your story today.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Did you want to start by introducing yourself to our listeners and telling us a little bit about what your life looks like at the moment?
So I'm Kylie. I'm 39 and I'm married to my husband, Michael. We've been married for 3 years this year. We're into our third year of IVF. At the moment, we're about to start our 5th cycle and we are going to go down to Townsville to do a DNA fragmentation test as well.
Okay, we'll get into that as we move through the podcast because I'm sure our listeners would want to know a little bit more about that. But I want to kind of take you back firstly to what life looked like before you decided that you wanted to have a baby and what that looked like and what that decision was like for you and your husband.
So hubby and I met when we were a little bit older in life. So we both kind of knew that we wanted to have a family early. The first year we didn't really try too much or anything like that. And I also had let him know that before I was with him, I had a ectopic pregnancy, which almost took my life because it ruptured my tube. So I kind of knew then that I might be having some problems. And also I had been with 2 other previous people for quite a long time and nothing was really happening. So I was starting to have the inkling that something wasn't right, but I wasn't ready to accept that just yet because I kept feeling that I was still young. And then we were just trying naturally. And then it wasn't until I think I was about 35 and I said to him, we've got to go and get more investigation done. Like we need to go and get help and we need to speak to someone. So we went and we saw a fertility specialist and that's when I had my first laparoscopy and they told me that I had a partially blocked tube and that they couldn't find any endo. So I freaked out. I didn't want to hear that. I was a big person who didn't actually want to do IVF. I was like, I don't need help. I don't want to put anything into my body. Like it was a very, very hard decision. I actually had a massive freak out when I heard that I had a 2% chance. I knew that it was a lower percentage because I only had the one tube because they took it when it ruptured, but I didn't realize it was that low. So we decided that we would get married first because I wasn't ready to go all into IVF. I didn't think it was going to be as hard as what it has been, but I knew it was going to be a bit of an emotional journey. So I was like, let's get married. Let's have a bit of a nice time before everything gets a bit crazy. So we did that. And now I'm kind of kicking myself because I was younger. And now that I've gotten older, I think that's starting to give me a little bit of grief being a little bit older and going through the IVF process. But before all of that, we would go traveling. We would do a lot of things. Like we didn't mind having a drink here and there. And we were both smoking. I look at IVF sometimes and say like it has changed us for the good in some ways. And we've definitely changed our whole entire lifestyles. It's been crazy how much we changed from what we eat, like our water. We're now making sure it's all like filtered and everything, watching what you eat, what you're putting into your body. I work in a salon, so I was a bit bad and I'd never wear gloves all the time. Now I'm wearing gloves. Like it's crazy how much you start to overthink everything.
Yeah, which is a big part of this journey, isn't it? So you mentioned that you had an ectopic pregnancy. Did you want to talk a little bit more about that? And you said that you lost a tube. At that time, were you given any advice or told that it might be challenging to conceive?
So I actually did not even know I was pregnant. I was not living the best lifestyle. I was working in clubs. I was drinking very heavily and getting up to no good, basically. So I did not even realize I was pregnant. I went to go to the toilet that morning, and I literally, instead of sitting on the toilet, I went straight forward and I busted all my teeth up. So I lost my two front teeth. My whole nose was all busted up and everything when I went in there. I couldn't walk when I got into the emergency. I was completely white. I was actually quite embarrassed. I kept saying, because I didn't get it by that time, I hadn't had a period for like years, like talking like 8, 9 years. So when I started to bleed, I thought, okay, I'm finally getting a period. So I was like really embarrassed. I was like, look, I think I'm just having a really bad period because I haven't had one for so long. And she was like, no, something is not right with you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm sitting in the waiting place basically, and then they take us in to do an internal, and they're like, oh, you're having an ectopic pregnancy. I'd never heard those words in my life. I had no idea what they were talking about. So then they put me, like, they had to go do some other things. And I started researching good old Dr. Google. And I was like, oh my God, this could actually be quite life threatening. So the person who I was with at the time, we were both freaking out. I was in Melbourne when this happened. So I wasn't around any family or anything. And I kept saying, please don't ring my family. Like, it's going to be fine. But yeah, they had to rush me, and they ended up telling me afterwards that they took the tube and that basically my ovaries were just in a pool of blood. So I was very, very lucky to survive that one. I didn't really get explained too much, but to be honest, at that time, I was kind of here nor there because I wasn't in a very good relationship. So I was kind of like, it made me have a big wake up call. And that's kind of when I left this person, because I was like, if I'm going to have a kid and I'm going to have a family, this isn't actually the life that I wanted. So it was kind of a wake up call is how I took it. But I also blame myself for the way that I was living. Like mentally, it started playing with my headspace big time. But yeah, I'd never experienced anything like that in my life.
Yeah, wow. And when you said you hadn't had a period for 8 or 9 years, was that because you're on contraception or you just weren't getting a cycle?
I wasn't getting a cycle because I was severely underweight. I was like 45 kilos.
Okay, yeah. All right, no worries. So it's just quite normal for you to not have a period at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've spoken about like when you and your husband were first trying to or had that conversation and you knew that you wanted to have kids together. Did you have any preconceived conceptions around fertility?
I know that people can still have an ectopic pregnancy and then still fall pregnant. My mum actually had an ectopic and she actually fell pregnant. She's got the three of us kids. But I didn't think it was going to be this hard, especially when we went into IVF as well. Like, we just thought we were going to bypass a tube. And now we've ended up with all this other sort of problems now that we never even knew. I reckon we would have been maybe a year into seeing one another and we started going, we won't use anything. Let's just see where things take us. And yeah, as things were not taking us anywhere, I was like, all right, it's getting to the crunch time now. Like, my biological clock is ticking big time.
Yeah. So then you've gone and you've got the medical investigations. What was the advice given to you then? Was it going straight to IVF or was there anything that you could do before, taking that step?
So because in the first investigation that they told us, which was in 2020, that I had the partially blocked tube and that I had no endometriosis, because I had friends that had said to get Clomid or Letrozole, like go down those sorts of roads and down that road. And I had said to her, like, before we get into IVF, can we do that sort of thing? And she said, look, because of your situation, I don't want you to have another ectopic. I would rather you go straight into IVF. So we went straight into IVF. And we literally were like, this is going to be a piece of cake. Like, we're bypassing a tube. That's all it is. Our only issue, there's no endometriosis and all that sort of stuff. And then it wasn't until last year, 2025, that I had another laparoscopy. And that came out. And I was literally going into my laparoscopy thinking that I was going to have a tube removed. And she woke me up and she was like, it flushed through. We kept your tube. And I was like, what do you mean? We were told it was partially blocked. So then I was confused because I was like, well, if it hasn't been partially blocked, why are we not been able to have kids then? Like, I was really, really confused. She said that she did take out endometriosis as well. So I was like, well, maybe that will help our situation. But we've now done 2 rounds naturally and nothing's still happening. And before I had that laparoscopy, I had another one and I actually had an anaphylactic reaction. So I had to go and figure out what I had an anaphylactic reaction to while I was under getting the laparoscopy. So I had to take 8 weeks off to figure all that out. So my whole IVF journey was put on back hold. So it's been crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to making the decision to go to IVF, how did that feel in that moment, considering you said previously that you were kind of against IVF or you didn't think that you would ever need to have to do it? Was it difficult to make that decision even though you had had that medical advice? And when did you make that decision?
Yeah, so it was definitely difficult. And I sat down with him and I was like, we're going to have to change our lifestyles and change things. And we knew it was going to be a big lifestyle change, but it was more, I would say, yeah, difficult for myself because I just didn't want to pump my body with a whole lot of hormones. I was scared. I was really scared. So yeah, that took a little bit, but I also was very determined that I knew my age was getting to me. So I was 37 when we started. I was 35 initially when we went and spoke to her, and I had
Okay.
the big freak out. And then I went at 37, and that's what she said. Like, I wish you kind of started it at 35. We had a little bit more years up our sleeves. So I was kicking myself about that, definitely.
Yeah. So you spent the next 2 years trying naturally
Yeah.
before moving there. Do you have a regular cycle that you can track with ovulation sticks and things like that?
Yes.
Okay, so that would have been stressful within itself, like 2 years of trying to conceive. I can't even comprehend like what that would have felt like, and receiving those negative pregnancy tests over time would have been really hard.
Well, it got to the point where I just could not look at, I just didn't want to take another pregnancy test. And it was like, I'd just wait for my period to come. And it's like now, like I'm a complete and utterly emotional wreck most of the time. But I know that we've given ourselves, this is the last year that we're doing this because it's just been so much strain. And I was talking to hubby last night and I was like, it's not that I'm not happy with like us, it's the situation. And like, we realistically, we're newly married. And I know that marriage is not a easy road, but we haven't been proper happy since basically our wedding, which was in 23. We've just literally been so focused on trying to get pregnant and doing everything right, and then getting a kick in the guts when you've done everything right and still not getting a baby at the end of it. And that's the hardest part, is you could do everything right, everything. You can tick every box and it's not going to promise you a baby at the end of it. That's one of the hardest things for me to swallow. I've been able to fix everything else in my life, but this I can't fix.
Yeah. And the lack of control is one of the hardest things. And I think when you live with that, the weight of trying to conceive, you can't really enjoy moments because it's always there. It's always in the back
No.
of your mind. Yeah, with your husband, it takes the joy out of so many things in life. Like yeah, it's
Even
so
at a friend's
hard.
birthday, you're like, oh, I'll just have a cheeky red one. But then if
Yeah,
you go to do a cycle and it doesn't work, you blame yourself for having that one glass of red wine. Like, it's
it's
beyond
so hard.
crazy. My poor husband, like, he loves to have a beer after work. What man doesn't love to have a beer after
Yeah,
work, And he's now been 3 years that he's not hanging with these guys after work, and he's trying his best to do things too. And it just puts a strain on each other. Like, it really
yeah,
shouldn't have to be this way.
yeah, for sure. And you just have to change so many things about your life and so much pressure. So completely understand that decision that this will be your last year. Did you want to talk us through the first round of IVF?
To be honest, we were pretty much like, we've got it in the bag. We were like, we've got this. This is just what we have to do. And I know a lot of people say it's not exciting, but for me, it was, because I thought this was the fix it. So I thought we were having a baby at the end of this. So I was like, all right, let's do this. And when we went and saw her, she did say to us, like, it sometimes can't take one go. Sometimes, you're looking at 2 or 3 sort of thing, especially with your age and all that sort of stuff. So we were like, okay, well, if it doesn't, then we'll do the 3. But
Yeah.
we were so like, it was happening. There was no, it wasn't happening. So we were quite excited, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hard too because I didn't have a friend to talk to through the whole situation. I had my family, like, I didn't have friends that have gone through the situation, I should say, but I do have friends and family that are around, and they were all excited too. And then as time gets on, it's kind of like you become that person that's like, the one who keeps talking about the IVF. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes people are like, feel sorry for you. And it's like, I don't need you to feel sorry for me. I just need you to sometimes listen and care.
Yeah.
I would say it was exciting, the first initial one. And, we were all like, all right, let's get these needles done and let's do these stems and let's get these eggs. And everything was looking all good. Like we even got 2 embryos our first go. We were like, yep, we've got this. We did one fresh transfer and we had one to freeze. We're looking pretty good, like this one's going to take and we could go again if we really wanted to. So we were feeling very hopeful. And then when it didn't take, I crumbled. I was like, okay, what's going on? Like this should have worked. But then of course you go back and then, you get told this can happen and let's go again sort of thing. And there's better chance sometimes with them being frozen. So let's go again. So we did that again. And again, we were crushed and I started freaking out. I was like, something really not right. Like, I don't know if it's now an us thing or if it's still a me thing or what's going on. So when we originally did our first one too, because we got married, we had put money away. But with the wedding, we had like a treasure box and we owned our home. We had everything in our house. So for us, it was instead of going on a honeymoon, we would use that to try and grow our family. So it was kind of like a big weight was on my shoulders because everyone had kind of put in to help us create the family that we didn't end up getting. So that broke my heart to then have to let everyone know that it didn't work. And then the second one we had, as you know, with Medicare, you get so much back. So we had a little bit of money there that we could do the frozen transfer. And then the third one, and she said to us, like, the third one's usually about an 85% chance. And we were like, what do we do? And hubby was like, let's go for the supers. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, anyway, we had the big chat and we decided, yep, all right, those odds are pretty good. So let's get stuck into the super. So we decided to do that, which had to go and jump through so many hoops and talk to a psychiatrist and everything to be able to access your own money. Like it was crazy. And then we used it. And that was when it was near Christmas time. We got our first ever positive. I've never seen a positive pregnancy test in my life because the ectopic, I didn't know that I was pregnant. I just ate the cement and found out. So I actually was quite shocked. I looked at it and I was like, it hasn't worked. And I was saying the day before my mum and dad had come over and I was crying and I was like, it hasn't worked. It's not worked. And I was a complete mess. And then the day 6 came and I did the test and I looked at it and I went out to him and I was like, hubby, it's not worked. Again, we've just got to call it now. Like it's not worked. And then I went back as you do to check it again. And I was like, screamed out. I was like, honey. And he's like, that's not a normal scream. Like she's not scared. And he was like, what? And I was like, is that a line? And he's like, that's a line. And I was like, no way. Like, are you kidding me? And because my family and friends had, been waiting for so long too. My best friend, she's been on this journey with me. I wrapped it up like a little Christmas present for everyone and was like, look what happened, you guys. And yeah, we were very excited. I had to wait to get my bloods. And then when I got my bloods, they called me and they were like, and you wait all day for these blood test results to be told yes or no. And I get a phone call and she's like, I am so sorry, it's inconclusive. I said, what do you mean it's inconclusive? And she said, I can't say you are, I can't say you're not. We're going to need to do one in a couple of days' time. And I was like, okay then. So I kept taking all the drugs that I had to and went for another test. And she said, yeah, no, it's not there. Like no pregnancies there now. And I was like, okay. So we were disheartened. But then we had like the carrot was dangled in front of us. So it was like, let's do this again. And that's when we said, well, can we go back to the start? And instead of going through the public system to do my laparoscopy, can we get you to do the laparoscopy? I went in for a laparoscopy, had an anaphylactic reaction, had to deal with that. So I missed a whole year of being able to do IVF basically, because by the time we got money together and then had an anaphylactic reaction, and then we were pushing to get one in for that year to get those 38-year-old eggs out. And then we got no embryos.
So you're at this point, you're up to your 3rd egg retrieval, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from your second egg retrieval, you got one embryo and you did a fresh transfer from that you were talking through. What kind of protocol were you on for these egg collections? Was it the same every time or did they change it?
So the first one I did Gonalef. I can't remember the exact other things I took with it, but I was on Gonalef. And then the second one we went with menopause, and the third one we went with menopause. Also, when we did the third egg collection, we never got to try it because I did the NK cells test, and she said that there was quite a high NK cells in there. So she wanted to start me on, I don't know how to say it. It's a steroid that they give you to help calm your system down and everything like that. But we never got the chance to even try that for the third one. So not much besides the Gonalep and the menopause was kind of changed.
Yeah. And did you want to just talk us through, because I know, and I've seen online like a really, really emotional video from you. If you feel comfortable to do so, do you want to talk us through that third egg collection, what it kind of looked like from start to finish? So obviously you were taking your injections and things were still looking good.
So we went in and I was so like, because we had that positive, this was it. We were like, we've got a positive. We do really well. I went out and bought little baby clothes to try and manifest. I bought him a shirt. I bought me a shirt. Like this was happening again. Like we were pretty solid that it was happening. So we went in and she told me that I had 8 follicles. That had crushed me because when I first did my first one, I had 15 follicles and then I had 10 follicles. And then I went to 8 follicles and I was like, I don't know how I'm feeling about that. And it's going to be fine. And, you talk each other through that you're going to be all good. And we went in and we got 6 eggs. And then I was disheartened a little bit. I know that 6 is a good number, but I was still disheartened because my other 2 times I'd had like, I think it was 9 eggs and then 8 eggs. So I felt like I kept losing numbers with this third go. And then we got the phone calls as you do. And it was like, all right, you've got 6 eggs, and I think it was 5 were mature. And then we got the phone call for day 3 that there was 2 that were going really good and 2 that were, just a bit behind, which started to make me freak out because when I'd been at these situations before, my first one, we had 4 that were doing really well and we got 2 out of that. The second time we did 3 and we only got 1 out of it. So when they started telling me that there was only 2, my heart started sinking, but I was trying to stay positive and trying to stay as strong as I could. But I think I knew deep down that it wasn't going to be a good outcome. So we were all excited, getting all our friends and family, like, all right, transfer day is happening. We've got this, and everyone go out and get their Macca's brides. And I had all the support and I had a lucky dress on. He was just about to go get his shirt on and the fertility clinic called. And as soon as I saw that number, my heart sunk. And he was like, what's up? And I said, they're calling. And he was like, not good. And I'm like, we've got to answer it. So we answered it. And yeah, he literally told us that unfortunately there's no embryos for you to transfer today, which we had never, ever had happen to us. And it literally I've never felt so hurt. And you work so hard to get to the point of having a transfer. And like I said, the other 2 times, everything's been fine. So for us, it wasn't even a thought in our head that we weren't going to have anything to transfer, even if it was 1, because we're trying to get 2 to be able to do a double embryo transfer with being older as well and having so many fails. So we weren't in the best headspaces. I'm very grateful for my husband and his support. He never takes it out. I feel like the failure, and it makes me feel horrible that you feel like you just put money down the drain as well. Like the amount of people of my friends that are like, oh, you must have got money back. And I'm like, yeah, no, we got $250 back because we didn't use a transfer room that day. Like you don't. But yeah, it was soul destroying for myself and for my husband. But then to watch everyone else around us as well literally crumble. Like my mom, I know she has a really hard time. She just wants to help her daughter and she can't help her daughter. And
Yeah.
like I said to her at the end of the day, Mum, like the doctors can't even help us. I'm starting to feel like it's honestly just a luck thing these days and being told it's unexplained or it's because you got MK cells, but we didn't even get the chance to try the protocol because we didn't get any embryos. So now we're looking at getting more tests done because we don't understand what's kind of happened. They've even talked about, and I didn't realize that the embryos, they change the liquid that they sit in from day
Okay.
to day. So she said maybe we need to look at the liquid. And I haven't heard back from them. I've been waiting since Monday to hear back from them to find out what the embryologists have actually come up with. Because, like she said, your AMH levels are great. Your eggs look fine under the microscope. His sperm looks fine under the microscope. We're just doing the DNA fragmentation test. So it's something that we can tick off and be like, okay, that's a yes or that's a no. We've done all the genetic testing as well. So we know that Michael carries the cystic fibrosis gene, but I don't. We know that he carries the albino gene, but I don't. So because these things don't match up, it should be fine. But once we start getting to day 5, we're losing a lot of the embryos, which we also found out that we went all IVF this time as well, because when we were doing the ICSI, we were losing a lot of our embryos. So we went all IVF.
Was there a reason for that happening with ICSI?
They haven't really said why that has been happening, but they just said some people take better to IVF and then others take better to the ICSI. And even when she ticked it to say we're going to do all IVF, she's like, oh, it makes me very nervous. But then this round, we're umming and ahhing again to do half and half.
Yeah. And ICSI is more expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And are you going through a private clinic for your support?
We are going through a private clinic because unfortunately that's all that we have here in Cairns is 2 private clinics to go to.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So you will hopefully get an explanation for why you ended up with no embryos, or they're kind of at the moment telling you like they just can't tell you?
At the moment, yeah, they just can't tell us. Like she's going to talk to the head embryologist and see what they can say and see if the DNA fragmentation test comes back. But for me, it was really hard for me too, because this was the healthiest I had been. So like I was saying before, we were drinking and smoking before we had IVF, and like we were giving it up, but it was still quite hard. So, you'd have a drink here or a smoke here. We were getting more embryos and stuff, but we were slowly getting off all that sort of stuff. And I was like, this is just blowing my mind. Like, this is the healthiest. We're taking all the supplements that you're asking us to take. I was taking a thing called DHEA. I then kind of did a bit of research myself, and I saw that, yes, it can help, but it can also go the other way and not help. So she asked me to take that again this time, and I've opted not to, because I feel like my body was very sensitive to it. So I was like, I don't want to take that again. I'm still taking the melatonin. But yeah, I've tried to pull back on a lot of the stuff that they've asked me to take, because we were getting better results at the start than what we were now. And when I watch a lot of other women's IVF journey, you watch them and they'll have like numbers go up because they're doing things. Mine are going down.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing and frustrating in the same token.
Yeah. And before you did this you already knew about the endometriosis before you did this 3rd egg collection, right? Or have you only just found out that information?
So we had done the laparoscopy, and we were told that it was endometriosis stage 2. So that's why we were like, cool, really hopeful to have this transfer and hopefully maybe see it stick. That's the reason why going into this 5th one, I'm hoping that we finally get an embryo, because she's taken them all out, and they say I think it's 6 or 12 months is the best time for you to be able to have a pregnancy, because it is all removed and everything. The only other thing I can think of with us having no embryos this 3rd time was, if you go back, because it does take 3 months for eggs, if you go back, my body had gone through an anaphylactic reaction. So the stress on my body was bad. They didn't think they were going to get me back. It was pretty severe. So my body was going through such a traumatic thing that I'm wondering, did that have something to do with not having any eggs? Like, was it just a bad batch that we kind of run into because of that situation and what my body had gone through?
Yeah. Again, the unknown. So hard.
So hard. Like you literally stay up at night and you question everything, and you GP chat and you Dr. Google everything. And at the end of the day, you're really never going to know.
Yeah. So hard. You also mentioned that you did a test and it showed up that you had killer cells. Do you want to just explain what that is to anyone that hasn't heard about it before?
So NK cells is basically where your body attacks the embryo. So they give you a steroid. I'm pretty sure it is, but I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like pef or something. And you take that before you start doing before your stims and stuff like that. And that's supposed to kind of calm your immune system to not kind of attack it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as what I know, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. So when you found out that you didn't have any embryos, how did you and your husband cope in that moment? Is there anything that you've lent on, like, from that time to get through? Because I could imagine it would have been a really tough time for you guys.
Honestly, we just spent time together. Like, nobody else can understand what you're going through. Yes, you have your mum. Yes, you have everyone there, but nobody actually gets it at the end of the day. Like, it was beautiful. I had a lot of support with people sending flowers and messages and things like that. But at the end of the day, we only had each other to hold and just kind of breathe through it together, sort of thing. Like, there's not much we could do besides start planning our next cycle, which took us a little bit because we were like, do we even bother again? Because this is costing us a lot of money. Like I said, in Cairns, there's no bulk bill clinics. And I've also absolutely loved my doctor. So I haven't wanted to leave my clinic either. But it's actually getting to the point for me now where I think I'm going to have to. And we look at what it's going to cost us to go to Brisbane and to do the IVF. And it's like, by the time you pay for accommodation and you pay for flights, it's almost the same as what we're going to have to pay here anyway. So it's really hard. But then, you hear that there's better results in Brisbane, and it's really hard. Like, I just wish someone could come and tell me and go, this is where you need to go and this is where you're going to get a pregnancy. Like, it's a lot of money. And like, at the end of the day, hubby and I are not the richest of people. Like, we're working class citizens, like, it's taking a lot for us to keep doing this. Like, we're now actually going to sell our boat. We love being out on the water. It's what kind of brought us together, is fishing and crabbing. And we're now going to sacrifice that so we can do some more rounds because, of course, a family is the most important thing. And that's just a materialistic thing at the end of the day. But it's getting to the point, like, we're not having as many holidays. And, I don't want to say that we are like distancing, but like, it's very hard because you're not having much close time together because everything is put into the IVF, and then that's a strain in itself. Like, you got to sit there some nights and I'm just crying out of no reason. And he's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, I'm just over it. Like, I feel like I just want to stop, but I also know how much I want this, to the point now, like, I have to have that backup plan because I'm actually scared for what's to come if I don't get to be a mum, because I already suffer with depression and anxiety. And if I don't have something in place, it's going to be me going back down a dark hole. And I've worked so hard to be where we are to this day. And we built my house. It's not the biggest of houses, and I never really loved my house, but we've started to make it our home now. And it's like, if I were not going to have this white picket fence life, then what am I doing? It's very hard to watch family and friends create a life with kids around and you're 20 years behind. It's really hard. And you don't get invited really to the kids' birthday parties. Or if you do, I feel like this creepy auntie that's there, like, what is she doing? She's got no kids here. I don't know. It's not something I want to hang around and stay for. So if it doesn't happen for us, we're going to pack up the house and go traveling and become little nomads, because it's too painful to watch everybody else. Like, even getting on my Facebook and seeing people that I went to school with, and most of their kids are now like nearly adults, and I feel so, so far behind.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, you've kind of answered this, but that was going to be my next question. And like, throughout this whole process, has it affected, firstly, your relationship with your husband, but then also external relationships, friendships, work, things like?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky I work from home. So my clients, all of them have been amazing. I've actually got a couple of clients that have gone through not being able to have kids. So I really lean on them. They give me so much inspiration, especially still being together. Like, I think it's just beautiful that some of them are still together and backing each other, even though they couldn't have kids. And they show me that there is a life that you can still have without them, and it's going to be okay. Because for me, it's all I've ever wanted. I've always been the mother hen. I'm the eldest in my family. I'm the eldest out of my cousins. So I always looked after everyone. My sister and I, there's 16 years difference between us. Everyone keeps saying, like, take her eggs. And, I take my hat off to anyone that can do the whole donor thing and everything like that. But for us, she still hasn't even had a chance to have her own family. And then we also have to think of the fact that when they grow up, they're not cousins, they're siblings. And my husband's not very comfortable with that situation. So I have to respect his thoughts and his wishes as well, as much as I'm pretty, that would have been fine for me, but it's not just my journey, it's his
Yeah.
journey too. And she's had to watch this, and it breaks my heart because she's terrified she can't have kids because we're pretty sure she's had endometriosis herself. And I just wish we had the money, or she had the money, that she could freeze her eggs now, but unfortunately we don't. But it does. It breaks my heart because she's terrified. She's told me, I'm not going to go through what you've gone through, sissy, like my mum suffers so bad. She just wants to help me and she can't. She cries with me all the time. She's actually comes to the gym with me to try and keep our health up and everything like that. My dad, I've never, you never really see your dad cry. That third time that I didn't get an embryo, my father was in tears with me, and that's what he said. I can see how much you're wanting this and you're changing and you're doing everything right. And that breaks him as well. And same as my brother, it's everyone can just see how badly it is breaking me. And because I have suffered with the depression and anxiety before, they're also worried that they're going to lose me at the end of not being able to have a child. And, what's going to happen then? So for me, I know that I have to put in place that I need to go and see a psychologist and I need to keep my head above water. Hence why I do get into the gym and everything like that. But it's one of the biggest burdens that I've ever had to deal with in my life. And it does scare me if there is no children. As much as traveling sounds great, I don't really want to leave my friends and family, but I can't stay here either.
Yeah. And how do you cope with pregnancy announcements? And you've spoken about seeing things on Facebook and things like that with people around you. Is there anything that you do to cope with that, with seeing those things?
Honestly, the only thing I can control is going to gym and basically hurting my body and making me feel a little bit stronger. But I'm up to, at the moment, I said to hubby, we're up to 14 pregnancy announcements for the year.
Oh,
It's,
that's so
yeah, it's hard. It's very, very hard. I've had a few of those people reach out to me before they do a pregnancy announcement, which I think is absolutely beautiful. Of course, they don't
yeah.
need to do that. It's their happy time, and I am happy for them. But it's one of those moments when you're scrolling and you see it, and I'll just start crying. And hubby's like, what is it? And I'm like, another pregnancy announcement. He's not from where I am, so he doesn't know a lot of these people, so he can switch up from it. Where for
Yeah.
me, it's more like another one. I'm, now this far behind, or some of them already have a family and their kids are almost grown and they're able to go again. And I'm like, it's so unfair. I know people that are not living the best lifestyles and they're just popping them out. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I've just spent thousands and thousands just for the hope of being able to
Yeah.
hold a baby at the end of all of this. And that's the other thing I keep saying to everyone. When we get a positive pregnancy test, yes, you're going to have a bit of hope, but you're also going to be terrified that you're going to lose it again.
Yeah.
And it's not until everyone's like, oh, 12 weeks. And I'm like, I will still be literally petrified until that baby cries and is in my arms. Will I feel somewhat safe? But then I'm still going to be freaked out that you're going to come home and, SIDS and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's going to be a very hard journey for me. I never thought I would be the mum that would be so freaked out and cautious of things. Like, even when we first got that pregnancy test, my husband was like, I'll get that, I'll do that. And I'm like, just calm down. Like, I'm still going to have to live, but we feel like it's going to be this big protection sort of thing. Like, don't stress, don't do anything wrong. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. There's such a ripple effect from infertility and fertility journeys. Like, I think long after, if you do get your baby at the end, there's still so much more that comes with that. Like, it's so complex.
Definitely.
Did you want to talk us through, you're talking about you're going to go into your 5th cycle. Is that happening soon? What's that going to look like? Will your protocols be different this time around?
So we're going into 5th one in March. As far as I know, we're supposed to be doing menopause again. And it's one of those things, like, we're not really changing too much because we didn't get to the transfer this time. So I'm still going to do what we were originally going to do. But yeah, we're going back on the menopause. And I just don't know if we're doing the ICSI or the just all IVF because I'm still waiting on a phone call to find out what the head embryologists think we should do. So
Okay.
I'm still in
Yeah.
a bit of a waiting point at the moment.
Yeah. We want to also talk about the waiting that comes with IVF, like waiting for the phone calls, even like the 2-week wait after you've had your embryo transfer. Again, like how does that feel for you and how do you cope with those waits? Because it's hard, even as you said, just getting information from tests and things like that. It just feels like it's always waiting, waiting.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, it's stressful. It's crazy how stressful. Like, I never thought I'd be one of those people that's like Googling every symptom. Like, is this because I feel this? And I guess that's the other thing that's quite hard with hubby. I love him, but he's very emotionless and he can deal with things a lot better than me. But also, I'm the one that's feeling a twinge and a funny feeling. And I'm like, oh, is that it? Is that it? Then you get yourself all psyched up thinking, this is it. And then you have the big downfall when you do the test and find out, no, it wasn't like, and it's just a symptom that, getting your period. So for me, the 2-week wait, I wouldn't say I'm the nicest person because
It's so
I'm just,
hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep myself busy. I'm very on edge the whole time. Like, yeah. And I'm always like, it's that time. So I don't know, like, just leave me alone sort of thing.
Doesn't help when you're coming down from all the hormones as well on top of that.
Hormones are definitely not our friends. We haven't had much of a break from hormones. So every time I'm
Oh
crying
god.
to his life, Liz, it's just the hormones, honey. It's okay. And I'm like, when's it going to be? It's not just the hormones, honey.
Yeah, I know. But has all of this process and everything that's happened changed the way you see yourself and your identity?
Definitely. I was 50, 55 kilos when I first started IVF. And I know that giving up smoking put on some weight as well, but I've gained 30 kilos. Like, it's been crazy. I'm suffering now the way that I look, not just infertility. So yeah, I struggle all the time now. We did go to a psychologist after the third transfer. That's when she started to say to me, like, for the last 20 years, you've painted this picture that you're going to be a mum and you're going to have this married life with children and family. She goes, you really need to start to focus on a second painting, which I've been trying so hard to do. This is where we decided that we're going to go traveling and things like that and start to paint that picture. But like she said, it's going to be very hard to paint another picture when you have had one picture for so long in your head for, the good 20 years. She's also said to us, like, it's one of those things, yes, we are grieving, but again, if we're not done with it, we can't really start the whole grieving process because we're not completely finished with it. So that's a hard one for us too. So not until we're completely done will I kind of put myself back into a psychologist.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been going to see like a kinesiologist and things like that. And I love seeing her because she lets me talk to her before she does what she needs to do and try and calm me and all those sorts of things. But yeah, she's definitely helped me rather than going to a psychologist so far because, it's costly to go to a psychologist as well as infertility and all
Yeah.
the vitamins on top that you're doing and all the tests that you're doing. So I said, let's hold off on the psychologist and, thanks to all my good TikTokers out there because they help with a lot of things. And also family and friends have been great ears, and listening and giving advice where they can as well. Sometimes I
Yeah.
don't want the advice, but yeah, everyone does as best they can. And I know that sometimes when they say it hurts me, I know it comes from a good place.
Yeah,
The
for
hardest one
sure.
for me though is like, why don't you just adopt? And I'm like, it's not just an easy fix like that. Like, could you imagine you not feeling your pregnancy or not having a kid to see what your kids would look like? Like, it's not an easy fix. And I, again, take my hat off to anyone out there that can do it. But for us, it's just not the right fit for us.
And not a helpful thing to say when you're, fully in the trenches of going through
No,
these.
it's really not.
Yeah.
Or like I said before, when people are like, take your sister's eggs. And I'm like, it's not an
No.
easy fix like that.
Yeah.
It's more than that. There's more to it.
Yeah. Is there any other comments that you've had that you've just kind of thought that's really not helpful? Obviously, no one ever means malice by the things that they say, but I guess for anyone listening that might want to support someone going through something similar, is there anything that you think has just been really not helpful for you?
the one that does, like, I always say to people, please don't ever tell me like, oh, have my kids for the day and then you won't want kids. Like, appreciate what you have. You have no idea until you're like, put yourself in my shoes. Or the other one, like maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe you're going to have a child that's going to be stillborn, or maybe you're going to have a child. Yeah. Like, yeah,
Wow.
it's like you just can't. Yeah. I'm just like, I mean, I'm going to walk away because I'm going to lose my shit. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things like that that get said, or, like, how fair is it going to be? Like, you're getting older now, the kid's going to be how old? And yeah, so that gets to me as well. And then I'm like, my mom had my sister at 39 and they have a great relationship. So, I'm going to go until I can. But for me to have to stop, it's more of a mental thing for myself that is I'm starting to check out, and also a financial thing to be dead set on it. Like, it's sucking everything out of us. And I don't want to have no savings at the end of it. And other people say, like, oh my God, I can't believe you'd spend that much money. And it's like, you can't put a price on it at the end of the day. And now that I'm looking at things, I've got a little app that tells me like how much I've saved on smoking and stuff. And I think I'm up to like $16,000. And I'm like, at the end of the day, what we would spend on alcohol and cigarettes is what we're now spending on IVF. It's just in a big chunk of money rather than a little bit. But yeah, you're going to be so lucky. You can just travel. And I'm like, I would take anything to have a child than just go travel. And I can travel with a child. Like, you can do that if you wanted to.
Yeah. And I think like the money thing, it's like unless they were in the same situation as you, I'm sure that they would be doing everything they could as well and spending that amount of money. It just comes back to people not really understanding unless they've been through something like this of how it feels, and you'll do anything at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Yeah.
Baby, yeah, for
A
sure.
lot of family members were very worried and saying like, you guys are starting to spend a lot. And I was like, but at the end of the day, you get so much back. So, that does help. I said, but yeah, it is a lot. And then I broke it down for them with the whole smoking thing. They were like, oh, I was like, yeah, but it's still a lot it's a good chunk of money. Yeah.
What do you wish people knew more about infertility and IVF, or what do you think isn't spoken about enough?
I think I know that you've got to do the sex ed at school and stuff like that and drill into kids that, or teenagers that, you have sex, you're going to have a baby. But like, I think there should be also awareness of infertility out there rather than just don't have sex because you're going to have a kid and stuff like that, or have a baby. Like I said, I knew nothing about an ectopic pregnancy, nothing. And I think, I don't know how old I was. I think I was about 23 or 4. I don't know, but I was in my like later 20s and I had
Yeah.
no idea what those words were. I was like, I have no idea. And my mum never spoke to me about her ectopic pregnancy until I brought up mine when it happened. So again, like I don't know if it was just a taboo thing that she didn't think she could, or it was just something that she never thought about until it happened to me. I'm not too sure. And I think like, don't be so stubborn. If you think that you're having issues, don't leave it till it's too late. I feel like I'm kicking myself. I said that to hubby last night. I was crying to him last night. And I said, I really wish we went and did this before we got married. As much as I loved my wedding and everything, I just wish for the age factor that we did. And I wish I wasn't stubborn and I did kind of just listen to her then and there. And I reckon do a lot of research before you do start, and don't go in thinking it's going to happen straight away. I feel like it's a very small percent that actually that happens for. And I just wish more people would get out and speak about it. Like, it took me a little while. So our first round, we told family and friends. Second round, we decided to keep quiet and not tell anyone. I think we told just my husband's parents because they were staying here at the time because they live in New Zealand. So they were here holidaying. And not talking about it was one of the worst things I ever did. If you talk to my husband now by going out and actually sharing my story after watching another girl, Jamie, she's from Texas. We call each other bestie. I watched her journey and her talking about it and how much I could see like it helping her. I started saying to him, I think I want to share this story. And he was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it. And then, like you said, we started getting to this point where I don't want to say we were losing friends, but like we don't get to hang out with very many people anymore because everyone's drinking or nobody's really on the same path because they've got the kids. And I don't want to say people are sick of hearing it, but it's like I get told all the time, it's consuming your life. And I'm like, yeah, it is. If you're in my situation, you'd be trying to do everything and thinking about it all the time as well. So, yeah.
And you've been amazing at opening up online. So we'll share your TikTok link in the show notes for anyone who wants to follow your journey and just get some general advice around IVF as well. I think that's really important and really helpful because it can be quite isolating. So being able to content online is really great.
Yeah, the day that when hubby said to me, like, yeah, it's fine, like, do it, because he could see that I was just sinking away. The day that we got the no embryo calls and the amounts of people that actually reached out, commented, and I was reading him the comments, and even a couple of blokes wrote back, which I thought was amazing because a lot of the men don't speak about it. Again, I wish that they would, because you don't want them to feel alone either. But the amount of people that were wishing us, well, and watching us through our journey and had gone through the same things. And I was reading these messages back to him. He's like, we're getting more support from strangers than what we are in our circle, sort of thing. And no hate to anyone in our circle. Like, everyone's been great, but it's one of those things that it's, okay, this has happened again and again and again. And everyone's starting to, I think, be like, he's going to give up. Like, he's going to keep going. Like, when's enough, sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think, again, it comes back to people being able to relate to your situation, or those strangers online might have been through their own fertility journey, so they can kind of empathize with you as well. It's just something that you can't really fully comprehend or understand unless you've been through it. So
yeah, the
it's really
people that told me or have said that they have gone through that, like, I didn't realize how many people are out there and have had no embryos. Like, and that's only one round for us. And I'm hoping that's the only round that we have to go through. But some women have had multiple rounds of that happening. And I could just not even imagine that stress or that heartache.
Yeah, so hard. All right. Well, you've given us so much amazing information and advice throughout this interview, but I just had one final question for you, and it's, what's this journey taught you about yourself and resilience, and I guess what you're capable of?
Well, I'm definitely capable of change. So I'm very proud of myself for changing. I'm strong. And I would say that my husband and I are stronger than ever through this whole entire journey. Like, again, because no one understands what you're going through, it's something that only you two can understand. But yeah, and I also have learned who is really there to support me and to back me and be there for me. And yeah, just the strength that it's taken to get up, every day and keep going, even though now, like, I'm pretty much trying to stay hopeful, but in the same token, I don't want to be too hopeful, because falling from being really hopeful is not a good outcome at the end. But yeah, strength would be the biggest one. And like I said, being able to change. I didn't think I would be, you would have told me 10 years ago that I wasn't going to be a smoker and this is going to all be the way that it is. I would have been like, yeah, whatever. But I've been able to change. And that's why I do say I am grateful for some things with IVF. It's made me a better person, and it's going to make me be a better mum for everything that I had to do to be able to hopefully one day become a mum. So I am grateful for those sorts of things as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. You are an amazing, very strong, very resilient woman. So yeah, I will be watching and following along and really backing and rooting for you. And, good luck with your 5th transfer, and I'll be crossing everything for you guys.
Thank you so much.
This has been The Space Between Two Lines. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and register on our website to share your story. The link is in the bio. Until next time.